My name is Larriesa Updyke, and I'm from Muskegon, Michigan. Growing up, I was a really good kid. I did anything and everything that my parents asked me to do, helped out with my siblings, and I hung out with the typical teenage crowd, getting drunk. But I should have seen the signs before. My friends would be getting buzzed, and I would be getting completely hammered, hugging the porcelain god every weekend. And that was the start of my addiction. Once I graduated and started going to college for nursing and being a CNA, I got my own apartment. I started taking Norcos. It went from one a day, and then over the years, experimenting with other drugs, but the main addiction of opiates went from one a day Norco to 45 a day. I ended up having a little boy in an abusive relationship. It caused a lot of trauma. So over the years, I tried getting help for my addiction. I ended up in jail. I ended up in a 30-day rehab. Me thinking, not knowing what addiction really was, thinking I'm cured after 30 days and I come home to be a mom and I'm like, no, relapse in 2 weeks. It really didn't solve anything. I ended up getting addicted to heroin, or substituting the Norcos. Heroin was cheaper, so I ended up becoming an IV drug user. I overdosed on January 25th, 2017, with my son sleeping in the back seat of my car. That's when my world flipped upside down. Since then, I've been really trying. I'd like to tell you my son was enough to get sober, but it wasn't. After Teen Challenge, I ended up going home to the same place I was sick in. After multiple other jail stints after Teen Challenge, I found Fresh Coast, and I was doing really well for a while, but I had this mask of, get through just to get what I need to do. And then once I got off probation, got off everything, I stopped the connection. Everybody here, the first time I had ever come, my first time around, it felt like home. But with not being ready, until you're absolutely ready to surrender everything, you're not gonna stop. And I didn't. So after that, I ended up catching another DUI, went to jail for 6 months, lost everything that I just worked hard for. After I got out of that 6 months, I relapsed again within less than a month. There was nothing really open to where I could get my help, but I still went back to the same place. It was just an endless cycle. That was the only place that was open to me in my family, that I could have my son. So I ended up catching another charge, victimizing my grandmother, which I am not proud of at all. Within that, and after getting out of jail this last time, my mother had taken my son back. She refuses to talk to me. I've burnt so many bridges in my family, but I can say there are a few of my family members that have always stood by me and never left my side. They were disappointed, and having the shame and guilt of that disappointment, it's hard to bear. But when I got released this last time, I had so much anxiety. I didn't have nowhere to live. I got to crash on my dad's couch for a couple days, but I knew ultimately I couldn't stay there. So I got a hold of Fresh Coast Alliance, and they offered the housing, which it's not just a house, it's a home. And then they helped me with employment. Within the first 90 days, I had to get, a job to help pay for my expenses, just get me in that routine of, everyday living, like normal people would live. I've been in the program again for about 4 months. So right now I have about 7 months clean and sober. I can say this time I'm taking the mask off. I'm finally dealing with the trauma from my abusive relationship. I'm dealing with trauma from my childhood, digging down deep and trying to find everything from what is the main problem, or stop numbing. I'm numbing all these issues of, guilt and shame, trauma. I'm a people pleaser, and I'm always trying to do everything the way everybody else wants me to do. But this time, I need to do it for me. I need to do what I know was best and which way works. In 2 years, I see myself going back to college. I'll have about 2.5 years, going on 3 years of sobriety. I don't ever plan on quitting. I have a really good job right now. I'm starting to see my son. And I'm hoping, as everything goes accordingly, and if it doesn't, it's all God's plan, to have a house, have my son back, start schooling, and just helping other men and women in the same position that I am, who have lost their children to the system or to another family member and is trying to get their life on track and get back. Because I know for me, I have two choices if I don't stop this. I'm gonna end up in prison, or I'm gonna end up dead. And that's a reality check in my eyes. So Fresh Coast is not just a program, it's a family. It's a way of life. There are connections that you will build forever, and even if you mess up, they're still there to help pick you up, dust you off, and help you keep going. It's my home. That's where it is. It is my home here. I'll never be leaving Fresh Coast. They're stuck with me for life. Yeah, if I had to describe Fresh Coast in one word, it's mayonnaise.